그때도 쉽게 이긴 게 아니라 정말 어렵게 이겼기 때문에.
It is semifinals time today. We get to see if the Koo Tigers or KT Rolster go on to face SK Telecom. Nagne hacking away at the Nexus. Grab onto prey mixes. Nagne still so low. He's got that shield. The Nexus, he gets it. KT ties it up. What a backdoor. What a game from KT.
그때 당시에 저희가 마지막 5경기까지 가서 블라인드 전까지 갔는데
Koo holding on by the thinnest of threads. Solar Flare goes down, they slow Kuro. Kuro taken out by Arrow, and that is it. It is over, and KT is going to the grand finals.
블라인드 전에서는 약간 가위가위보 싸움 같은 거죠. 롤드컵 같은 경우에는 블라인드가 없기 때문에 5경기까지 가도 좀 이길 수 있지 않을까 생각해요.
이번에도 쉽지는 않다고 생각하지만 그때처럼 이길 수 있다고도 생각하고 있어요.
Getting dunked! It's a double kill, made that a triple kill for Smebs Darius.
He got it on the lantern, I can't believe it.
Koo Tigers have punched their ticket to the quarterfinals in London.
Welcome to the final day of the 2015 World's Quarterfinals. Once again, we're bringing you all of the action from the historic SSE Arena at Wembley, where two more contenders step onto the rift and vie for the final semi-final berth. Well, the fans are out in droves and pumped up in London. Some optimistic EU fans there as well. And of course, here are the teams KT Rolster and the Koo Tigers apparently sharing a bus to the venue, arriving just a short time ago. They will hit the stage in just a few minutes to see who advances to Brussels to face Fnatic. Welcome back, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, and staking a claim to the analyst desk today, our head coach of Europe's Rockcat, Jacob Yamato-Kennen Mebdi, North America's Aiden Zyrene Moon, along with Renegades jungler Alberto Crumbs Rengifo. Gentlemen, final day of the analyst desk here in LA for the quarterfinals. How does it feel?
You just gave it away. We're in LA.
I think people knew.
Everybody keeps asking me my solo queue games. They're like, how are you here?
Why are you playing
Don't you
on
have
ping?
300 ping?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm in LA, bro. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bittersweet. But I mean, this is a great game to end the quarterfinals on. KT versus Koo Tigers here. And this is just a Korea matchup from the semifinals. And I think we're going to get a really good series here, possibly all 5 games.
Now, to start us off, let's check how the things stand in the bracket. Yesterday, Fnatic were able to take down Edward Gaming in a surprising 3-0 series to secure their semifinal spot. We heard from the players themselves that they weren't even expecting to advance in just 3 games. So what does this say about Fnatic as a team moving forward?
Well, I don't think that the 3-0 really says anything to how they played. You know, EDG was a little sloppy, but focusing on the KT versus Koo, these two teams have a top-notch top laner, and they usually focus their strategy around these guys, and that's how we saw Fnatic win yesterday and really step up during the group stages. So whatever happens in the semifinals, it's going to be explosive in that top lane.
Yeah, for sure. Like in Fnatic's case, I think this is the best they've played ever. Like this best of 5 against EDG, even though it was a 3-0, it was by far the best Fnatic League of Legends we've seen so far.
I definitely echo those sentiments there. I really don't have too much to add off of that. I think that Fnatic has been playing an immaculate game so far, and their game up against oh my God, my brain is terrible. It's
EDG yesterday. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm still not
You're
awake.
still too excited
Still
about the
awake.
great series that's coming ahead of us.
I really am. I'm just trying to look for it. But anyway, Fnatic versus EDG, that series came down to in-game shot calling after they were set up in Champion Select. And I feel like Fnatic walked away with better shot calling from Yellowstar and better setup from Daylor.
All right, well, they will be playing one of the 2 teams from today's series. So turning to that series, we're going to step inside Wembley Arena to meet our quarterfinalists.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world. And here at the SSE Arena, hello, moms and dads. We are getting ourselves set up and ready for the 5th and quarterfinal here before we move on to Brussels. Before we get the games underway, I think we need to meet our teams. Starting on the blue side, representing Korea's LCK, it's KT Rolster!
KT secures their spot in the quarterfinals.
In the top lane, it's Someday! Ganking from the jungle, it's Score! Helming the mid lane, Nagne! The on-point AD carry, Arrow! And roaming support, Peekaboo! Fixer is your substitute support. And KT's coach, Oh Chang-jung. Put your hands together for KT Rolster! Koo Tigers have punched their ticket to the quarterfinals. The second team, the Koo Tigers! In the top lane, it's Smeb. In the jungle, Hojin. From the mid lane, Kuro. Their AD carry, put your hands together for Prey. And their support, Gorilla! Substitute jungler, Wisdom! And their coach, No Fei! Once again, put your hands together for the Koo Tigers! Both of these teams are fighting for the right to advance to the semifinals in Brussels. It's KT Rolster taking on the Koo Tigers!
Our last two quarterfinal teams here. The last time we saw these teams play in a best-of-5, it went all 5. Blind pick to decide the series. KT getting the better of it that time around. We'll see if KOO is able to exact their revenge. Now that we've met the competitors, though, let's take a deeper dive into this Korean matchup, KT Rolster versus the Koo Tigers. Again, as I said, it's a rematch from the summer playoffs, the semifinals, where KT got the better of them this time around. Is that going to happen again, though?
I think these teams have been playing very solid and very almost one-dimensional just because of how much they rely on their side lanes to really carry them through the mid-game. And the KOO is a team that's been really known to dissect another team's play and really just shun them for the rest of their time and completely expose them. They've never quite done that against a Korean team, though. And I think that if they're going to do that today, this is the match to do it, because they already had a remake in which previously they were struggling a bit against KT during the regular season, but managed to go the distance against them in that best-of-5. So I do agree that it's going to be a bit more targeted, but the play is just going to come out and be spectacular.
feel as well, simply because of the fact in the Korean League with the blind pick as a final game, if you rewatch the series between KT and KOO, you could really think in your mind that after that fourth game, that KOO really had better odds in a standard pick game because they really figured out the bans at that point.
And something that you look at here when you go for what KOO likes to do, KOO likes to do 5-on-5 fights. KT is really skirmish-oriented, and they control the map with vision extraordinarily well. You were talking about playing to their side lanes. I did some statistic research here. KT is the #1 ward per minute team in the world, and they've upped their game by 0.5 wards per minute. And just to give you some, because it's all relative,
between
yes,
their
between then
regional play and now.
worlds, exactly. So their regional play 3.7 topped the world. Now they're at 4.2, which is absolutely insane. And the big part of this is Someday. Someday is the #1 ward per minute top laner in the entire world. He does so much work for his team. Not only is he that carry, he is providing so much vision. Level 9, he's always backing and getting his ward trinket, and it's always spinning on cooldown. This guy adds so much vision, and when you have that many wards on the map, you always have a teleport location. It gets him into these fights much easier.
That's exactly the kind of top lane play you expect from probably the best top laner in this whole tournament. Always going in for those deep wards puts such an amount of pressure, especially if you can help the jungler's job of tracking the other guy by putting 2 wards in the enemy camp. That puts so much stress into the opponent team. And I really want to see how they actually handle that. What are the timings for the sweepers and the pink wards for the Koo Tigers?
We talk about vision control. Someday's playing a big role in that, but of course the supports are one of the largest roles in that. I want to look at Peekaboo versus Gorilla. Peekaboo, we came into this tournament saying this is the guy who's going to pressure around the map constantly. He's going to team up with the jungler. He's going to invade your jungle. He's going to make those early roams and make the plays.
Yeah, Peekaboo was the guy that, you know, they were kind of a mediocre team. They were in the middle of the pack. Then he just went, bam, we have this playmaker now who just gets them online. KT had a problem closing games out, and Peekaboo really solved that for them. And Peekaboo's also #1 in wards for his role here at Worlds, and he's doing an outstanding job for the team.
The most standout thing about Peekaboo is when he gets to roam with score, so he gets freed up in the laning phase, and then they just go and take over the jungle so well. They can really just shut down an opposing jungler and support, but just being that better of a roaming squad. Though the way that SKT handled that was picking a lot of pushing lanes so that you would contain Peekaboo to the lane, and he was unable to find any roaming opportunities, which I think should be the approach that KOO take this game, because you do not want to leave this guy any room.
I feel like every time we talk about supports, we call them playmakers, we call them roamers. So that is, I think in this particular matchup, we have 2 great supports that are playmakers, that are roamers, and that is enabled simply because of their strong laning phase as well. They are able to push their advantages in laning phases, like where they are in a position where they push, and then they transition that across the map, which is beautiful to me.
And I think Gorilla is kind of a standout support here at Worlds in terms of playmaking that you're talking about. His laning is great, but when you get him to roam around the map, his thresh, he's making plays, whatever he's on, he's going to be able to create picks, and that's the type of playmaking that Gorilla does. And he gets his team back in the game, even if they're struggling and have that little deficit at the start.
You know, speaking of thresh, I do think that's going to be a highly prioritized support here, because unlike the other supports, thresh has a lot more versatility to his toolkit that helps the 2v2 roam squad that much more because of the threat of the lantern, getting somebody out of a sticky situation, and really setting up plays as opposed to how one-dimensional a roaming Alistar or a Braum could be.
Don't catch.
Let's bounce over to the mid lane though now, because this is a very interesting matchup of 2 laners who we have pegged them as being very passive support laners who probably aren't going to do much. If anything, we could, possibly ignore, because there's an earthquake on one half of the stage right now. But we can, possibly ignore the mid lane for a good portion of the game. But once we get to the team fight phase, that's where these guys really start to have their impact.
I think this is actually a really good matchup for both of them because they don't have too much pressure on each other, and they like to scale up. They like to get to that mid game, play the Victors, play the Azirs, Cassiopeia and stuff like that, and then come into the team fights. But they're going to allow each other to do that. Unless one of them decides they're going to pull out a different play style, they're going to be very aggressive and try to blow the game wide open.
We've deemed them to be quite passive, but they usually go until they get to the point where the champion has enough items to just one-shot the other guy and just catch him out of surprise. So, for example, a lot of Victor play, Kuro being the one guy that's absolutely amazing Victor.
The Victor player.
I mean, gets that first laser upgrade, and then bam, he's all over you in the mid lane. So once they get the items, they go for it, but they're not the kind of guys that are just going to go for those really chip plays in the early game to try to put yourself at danger as well as your opponent.
It kind of speaks into the thing we talked about yesterday, for example, with Fabib, and he likes to be put in these matchups where he just farms for the major duration of the game on those Victors, on those Azir, and that gets heavily impacted by what happens on the sidelines, as we spoke about earlier. If Someday gets pressure in top, he's going to transition that into mid. Same thing with the supports in the bottom. If they're going to get pressure, they're going to transition that into mid and cause pressure there as well. So watch out for that.
Yeah, these are both time bomb mid laners in my book. They are both they aren't volatile, but once they hit that timer and hit critical mass, the Azir is going to come at you, they're going to blow you up, and they're going to be taking down your AD carry, and you have to worry about your positioning when these guys get to their item breakpoints.
All right, well, you touched on Someday's warding. We also just mentioned how the top lane focus might bleed into the other lanes once one of those two gets an advantage. So that's the final matchup I want to look at, Smeb versus Someday. Two of the better top laners in this tournament.
Absolutely, and yesterday we saw how important these top lane picks could be with Huni's Riven. Both of these guys play Riven very well also, and you know, Smeb he even had a pentakill in the LCK on the Riven, which is a very impressive champion once it's mastered to the fullest, and with all these high skill cap matchups like the Fiora and I guess Renekton to an extent, who knows what's left to be desired in the top lane that's for picks. So I think whoever has a final say and really a deeper understanding of how matchups operate in the top lane will have the edge, unless, of course, they play Lulu and just make the game.
Please don't do that.
Personally, why I love Smeb as a player is because he has shown that he can play both ways. You know, these top laners that play the defensive way, like more the stake way. Sure, not to that level, but you get my point with like the more tanky champions like Maokai, while Someday struggles on that when he doesn't get the priority on his picks. So personally, like, in this matchup, I feel they have more flexibility with Swep, but on paper, Someday is stronger with the current meta going on.
All right, well, with all this in mind, we'll be looking to you on social media to share your thoughts on our question of the day. We're asking, what has surprised you the most from quarterfinals so far, and why? Send your responses to @LOL Esports with the hashtag Worlds so we can highlight a few a little later. Of course, now it's time for you, gentlemen, to put your money where your mouth is. Which is going to be our last team to make it on to the semifinals? Yamato, we're starting with you.
I'm going to say Koo Tigers. Simply because... Simply because
Koo,
they've shown.
Stage.
Come on.
No, okay, go ahead.
They've shown in the past that they are good at coming in with strategy. I feel like this particular matchup is Brute against Mind, and I'm going to go with Mind this time, simply because the last game is not a blind pick.
All right. Zyrene?
I'm going with KT. I feel like KT, just ever since I've been watching this team and they picked up Peekaboo, it's just a huge surge for them. They made it to the finals. They beat them in the best of 5, but that was... it's a funny history between these two teams, because KOO is the innovator, right? They come up with the Juggernaut, they come up with the Malphite and the Victor, but then KT goes, oh, that's really smart. I'm going to take that, I'm going to perfect that. They are more successful with Juggernaut compositions than KOO is, even though they invented it. And I feel like KT is just the guys who go, thank you for the lunch money. Now I'm going to beat you with it.
Jeez.
And I love that.
Whoa!
You like that?
All right, well, we're 1-1. Crumbs, it's only fitting that we come to you for the tiebreak.
Yes, the pick for me is KT. I think that this team has a fantastic top laner with the impact that Peekaboo can provide. And even though I think that KOO's goal to win this game should be to focus on the bot lane area, you know, hasn't been as consistent as you would hope, I don't think that Prey has been stepping up big enough to actually punish him that hard. So I do think that KT's going to come out ahead, and I'm really putting all my money in Someday's mouth. As you said, put your money where your mouth is.
Put your money where your mouth is. Don't put it in his mouth. Come on, that's not. The guy has to go play League of Legends now, Crumbs. Well, the desk is favoring the team that won the last matchup between these two teams. We'll see if KOO can rebound as we hand it off to our casters.